21 different kinds of joysticks you will probably definitely encounter in life. Joysticks are like snowflakes. No two are exactly the same, but they are all special in their own way. That said, depending on how many you've seen, you might wonder about all the kinds of joysticks out there. Well, turns out that there are a lot more than the scopes of emojis would suggest. I would love for people to know that you don't have to compare a person's joystick to some ideal joystick shapes, because all of these joysticks exist. You can make it work and have fun during the moment, no matter the joystick shape and or size. When you think of a joystick, an image of a cinder-like member comes to mind. It is straight and probably of average length, about 5 inches when erect, with a pronounced head. Then there is the girth, also known as the circumference or width, which averages out to be 4 to 5 inches when erect. But there is no such thing as a typical joystick. Nobody's joystick looks exactly the same, since they have all different kinds of shapes, sizes, and curves. However, when it comes to knacking, it is all about finding what works for you and your partner, and also communicating what feels best for the both of you. So yeah, no matter the kind of downstairs situation you're working with, there is just a way to knack with and just appreciate all these joysticks out there. Here's what you need to know about the breadth of the boners out there, plus the ways to have the most pleasurable knacking with all of them. Number 1, bigger base with narrow head. Here's a picture for all of you if you need it. Think of a traffic cone. Colloquially, I've heard men refer to their joysticks shapes as a traffic cone, where it is narrow at the head and then gets wider, because the joystick gradually gets wider as you get towards the base. Penetration might be easier at first, but the deeper they go, the more difficult it gets. With time and ease, you will be able to stretch some to fit their joystick. You will definitely want to use a lot of lubricant to allow for a deeper thrusting, so it is not as uncomfortable as the joystick goes in and out. And FYI, missionary position works best if you're knacking with such a joystick shape, since you're able to open your legs as wide as possible, allowing your partner to enter you slowly and fully. Number 2, narrow head with larger base. On the flip side, there are also joysticks that are more narrow at the base and get wider towards the head. Picture this: an inverted traffic cone or a mushroom. You might have a few issues in the beginning with this type of joystick, but once you ease in, things will be okay. Missionary position might be more comfortable for a partner of someone with a mushroom head joystick. You will get the initial stretching of the kitty wall or rectal wall, and then the tip of the joystick can provide an additional stimulation once inside. Number 3, thick girth. Some joysticks are working with a bit more girth than others. Sometimes they may even be wider than they are long. I know that girth can be uncomfortable, but there are also people who like girth over length when knacking with people with joysticks. A little assistance from a room staple can help. It is important when you're knacking with someone who is girthier that you remember the lube. Because there is so much girth, there is also a lot of friction, which means you need to be careful of getting micro tears on your uterus or your anus. Slimmer girth. Instead of having girth, there are also a lot of joysticks that are on the slimmer side, which means they are super skinny. It can be difficult to handle a skinny joystick, but it all boils down to 2 things. 1, making sure it is fully erect. 2, getting the right position. Try spooning positions where both of you lie on your sides and the joystick having partner enters your vajay from behind. Your butt is in the way a little bit, and oftentimes your legs are closed. That can give you the sensation of having some girth because your legs are closed around the joystick, giving it a full feeling. Circumcised joystick. This refers to a joystick where the skin covering the joystick, also known as the foreskin, has been removed, generally in the infant phase of life. This is the most common type of joystick out there around the world. About 90% of men over 20 are circumcised. There isn't really a specific position to optimize for better knacking because, well, it is the most common joystick type. That said, you can spice it up during the moment in any way you can using lube, using knacking toys, and trying new positions just to spice things up and also keep it interesting. If anything, it can be fun to put lube on both the outside and the inside of the condom that you're using, making things extra sensitive for the both of you. Don't worry, it won't slip off. Number 6, uncircumcised. Simply put, the skin is left intact. It is often a cultural thing, region, religion, tradition. Uncircumcised individuals have to work a little bit harder to keep it clean down there because bacteria can get trapped in the extra skin. As the joystick goes from flaccid to erect, it helps to roll back the foreskin to increase stimulation. But the head area can also be super sensitive, so start gently and continuously ask your partner what feels good. Number 7, growers. You know these guys, well, joysticks that are larger when hard than when flaccid. This one is pretty common. When working with a grower, I recommend letting it to reach to its fullest length before insertion. When getting ready for sexy time, allow your partner to be super erect and fully aroused during foreplay. That way you know what length and get you're working with and can adjust your expectations and determine what positions would work best for you. Showers. These joysticks stay more or less the same size when fully ready or flaccid. No one knows why certain joysticks function differently, but it is not uncommon for some to be owners of showers. Time to make a stop at your local knacking toy shop. Why? Because you can use a cock ring to make that large joystick erect or even longer, meaning extra long penetration time for you. Also, for deeper penetration, you can lie on your back with your legs up so they can enter you with their entire length. Have you ever seen a shower before? Give me a reply in the comment section. Curved upward. When erect, their joystick bends slightly or majorly up towards the ceiling. For all curved joystick, it will seem pretty straight when it is just chilling. It is only when they are hard that the curve appears. The cowgirl knacking position may be your new go-to. Try cowgirl. If your partner has a joystick that curves upwards, because it might reach up enough to stimulate your G-spot, which is typically located at the front wall of the kitty. But you have to be cautious when going for curved upwards joystick. Partner on top can sometimes be more difficult to navigate, depending on the degree of curvature as per entering your partner from behind. That doesn't mean you can't do those positions. It means the angle may be trickier. Curved downwards. A joystick with this type of curvature points downwards towards the floor when erect, and the degree of curvature can vary, similar to upward curving joysticks. I recommend you take caution when playing with this type of joystick. That being said, curvature can help assess all kinds of G-spots. If engaging in anal, a curved downward joystick can help assess the G-spot for those with prostate. Curved to the right, your right, same as the other two, but this one curves to their right, your left. When it comes to joysticks that are curved to either sides, it is all about the angles. There aren't any positions that are necessarily ruled out because you have a left or right curved joystick, but it can make penetration from traditional positions a little bit trickier depending on the degree. If someone curves on the either side, it might make knacking more easier, more comfortable when laying on the sides. That's more like spooning position. Curved to the left. This one curves to their left, You're right. There's not really much of a difference in terms of mechanics of having knacking with a left or right curvature. It is more dependent on the degree or severity of the curvature. Now, if a person develops a curvature over time, that could be a sign of Peyronie's disease, which is typically an acquired condition, and it is thought to be related to trauma sustained to the erect joystick. That event can be knacking, an injury, or microtraumas sustained over time. Sometimes it is not always a curve either. It can be an hourglass deformity, an indentation, narrowing, or even shortening of the joystick. I would recommend that you see a doctor if your joystick consistently appears different or if you start experiencing pain. Smaller length and get to actually be considered medically small. A joystick has to be 2 standard deviation less than the average, meaning it is just 3 inches long when erect. A small joystick can be anything smaller relative to any joystick you've seen. To feel more of the joystick when you're working with less, try the coital alignment technique. Have their pelvic bone pressed directly against your clitoral walls. Larger length and get joysticks that are 7 inches long or more when erect, which is about 2 standard deviation longer than the average joystick. Or 5. Qualify for the eggplant versus carrot emoji. Chances are you will never come across any joystick size that will not fit inside you. When it comes to knacking, it is all about lube, 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 and more lube. And no need to jump right in. Spend time on foreplay, which will allow you ease into penetration. And pro tip, maybe avoid on top positions if they feel like too much inside you. Number 15, a smooth joystick. Have you ever seen a smooth joystick? It could have been carved from marble. That's what I'm talking about there. A smooth joystick can feel better and more natural in your mouth for oral knacking, or if it is your first time with penetration. Entry should be smoother and more comfortable. If you feel understimulated during in and out knacking with this type of joystick, try adding a cock ring or even just a ribbed or extra ribbed condom. The indentations make for more sensation. Veining joysticks. Some joysticks have very accentuated anatomy when they are hard, as in they are not only visible but also physically noticeable during knacking. 2 things generally affect someone's veininess: genetics and muscles. Typically, those who work out more have more pronounced joystick veins. Their veins might just be closer to the skin and not necessarily bigger. Extra texture, like veins of any kind, can feel really awesome for many kitties. When a veiny joystick enters a kitty, it can feel really good because most nerve endings in your kitty are in that lower third near your kitty area, the entryway to the kitty. Try a position when you're on top and controlling the speed at which the joystick is moving in and out. Plus, this way you can stimulate your clit too. Number 17, pigmented joysticks. Basically, this just means the joystick is a different shade than the skin on the rest of the person's body. The pigment of the joystick is affected by the same thing that is affected by the pigment on the rest of our skin. It is genetics and certain degree of melanin, but people can have differently pigmented joystick from the rest of their body. Generally, there isn't anything different or worrisome about the coloring of the joystick, unless there is a noticeable change. It gets lighter, darker, or red on different spots. The color of the joystick has zero bearing on its form or function. Number 18, freckled joysticks, like darker hued joysticks. A freckled joystick is a special type with distinctive freckles or birthmarks. Again, skin coloration have nothing to do with what they are working with. It is purely aesthetics. That said, freckles and birthmarks could be other things, like STIs or skin cancer in disguise. If you're with a new partner, definitely talk about safety. And always use condoms if you're not sure. For established partners, if you notice spots, marks, or growths that weren't there before, ask them to get checked out for STIs and yes, even cancer. Hairy joysticks. Whether they hate shaving, didn't expect to be knacking, or just prefer to go all natural, which is normal. These types of joystick has poops around its base and bore area. Hair has a purpose. It traps bacteria and dirt, plus holds and emits scents called pheromones that attracts you to your partner. If hair bugs you, don't beat around the bush. In a non-shamey way, ask your partner for a compromise, saying something like, hey, maybe we can trim this a little bit so I don't chafe, or it is more comfortable for me. That said, it is their body and it is really up to them what they want to do with it. For oral, gently push poops down with one hand, because having a little spiral Y strand on your tongue can feel weird. Number 20, shaved joysticks. Some people prefer to keep their entire area hairless or just trimmed into something less bush-like. Even though pub hairs help keep dirt and germs away, there is nothing dangerous about a shaved joystick. Enjoy the view. You get a clear look at everything: shaft, balls, perineum, anus, everything. So take your time to explore and experiment with what feels good for them. And by association, you. And rub on some lubricant. Lube on smooth skin is even more slippery, which can feel amazing when super hard. 21, symptomatic joystick. Basically, if you've got a lumpy looking joystick on your hands, this may be a red flag. It can be really subtle, but penile cancer sometimes looks like a growth. A lot of times it will look like a bump or a little cauliflower. It usually evolves or starts from the foreskin if the joystick isn't circumcised. This one is a bit more serious, but there is a small number of people who have penile cancer. Here is the thing: it is way rare for someone with circumcised joystick to have a penile cancer. Those who are at a high risk are those that are uncircumcised. In addition to lumps of growth, you would want to ask your partner if they feel any tenderness around the scrotum area. Visually, their joystick may also look a little red or discolored. Wait to see if these symptoms persist, and if they do, head to the doctor. If you see it, you will definitely want to recommend that they get checked. And I mean checked out by a doctor. If you also notice a little discoloration or color that wasn't there before, it is advisable to visit the doctor to get checked. And these are different types and kinds of joysticks that you will definitely probably experience or come across in your lifetime. And I'm sure you fall into more than 2 to 3 categories. I'm still your favorite coach, Gracious Choma. If you have any question at all, leave it down there below in the comment section and I'm definitely going to reply your comments. I'm going to see you next time in my next video. Have a blast. Bye.